Well, good morning. Valerie Hanson Wisenand here. I want to tell you a story about the beginning of the pandemic and the beginning of my film career, which was my 15 minutes of fame, which was like 15 seconds of fame. But that's okay because I was there for another reason. The picture on the thumbnail for this is me in my smiley mask. It was 2020 and I had been, and many of us had been, working on costumes to appear as background extras for the first time that The Chosen was doing this, and it was the Sermon on the Mount. And so we were given a tutorial on costumes, told how to dress, what not to do, um, what not, don't put a lot of makeup on and we'll make you take it off and so on. We were supposed to look like regular pilgrims, except there was no way we could recognize each other, even if we knew each other from the internet, because we had to wear masks. And it gets even better than that. In order for The Chosen to film, they had to jump through a lot of hoops with regard to law. And so we had to pass our COVID tests at home and with recent results. Then we had to take more COVID tests when we got to Midlothian, Texas, and another one in the parking lot before we could board the buses for the filming site. So I thought, well, how am I going to know anybody? How's anybody going to know me? So my daughter had given me this mask. I had complained that during the pandemic, nobody smiled at me anymore. Well, you couldn't tell, she said, because there was a mask over it. So she bought me this mask with a big smile on it. And I wore it. I not only wore it, I put it on the internet on the site that we had gotten to group together for extras, where we could talk to each other and kind of get to know each other before we met in person. So there I was with my big smile mask on. And when I first saw Dallas Jenkins, I'll put a picture at the end of this for my first meeting with Dallas Jenkins. He went, ah! And then I pulled the mask down and he recognized me, and I told him who I was, and we discussed it. Well, I had it on for another couple times because we were supposed to wear it all the time, and mostly we did. So I had it on, and Kathy Hill spotted me, Marva Hardage spotted me. A couple others did, and then there was Noah Bennett, who had been part of an advertising site that he started called Against the Current. And at that time, he was just a kid. He's grown up now, but he was just a kid then. And he said, "That's Valerie!" And he came running over to me. I wouldn't have known him either because everybody was masked up. So that's my story of my happy mask. And I was actually glad I had it. Because I wouldn't have wanted to be unnoticed, but I did want to meet some new friends, and I made a whole bunch of new friends. The atmosphere on the set was absolutely wonderful. It was like going to a day-long revival. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. We were freezing to death. We were miserable physically, but our hearts were happy. We had a lot of joy. And then we raced for home before the ice storm closed in behind us. It was quite an adventure. Anyway, that's the mask story, and I still have it. Fortunately and happily, I no longer have to wear it. Be blessed.